CouchDB has begun. Come in and relax. Yeah, so I'm Dan Scott from Laurentian University. Half of you probably know my travails in getting here. I'm really, really happy to be here. This has been an awesome conference. Great talks and some great lightning talks too, blowing us out of the water, I think. So anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy. So the Grinch is one of my favorite kind of Dr. Seuss things, and when Damien Katz kind of came up with this idea to recreate notes, my initial reaction was, what a wonderful but awful idea. Notes, for those of who's worked here with notes databases? Okay, so a few of you. Notes was this thing that, well, was created by Lotus as a great knowledge management way of easily sharing documents, easily doing replication. But it turned into this massive beast. And when I worked at IBM, there were notes databases that kept track of the notes databases, and then there were other notes databases that kept track of those databases that were keeping track of the other ones. And it turned into a nightmare. And most of what happened was they tried to turn it into this groupware calendaring thing, and a whole lot of effort went in that direction. And the notes, the really good stuff at notes at the core, kind of got left behind. So Damien was very frustrated by that, and he decided to kind of recreate notes for real. So this time with a good API, a good format, which is JSON, the API being REST, open source license, of course, and doing it all right. And if you're interested in, if you've been freed from Lotus Notes and you want some memories of why it's, kind of evil, there's lotusnotessucks.4t.com, which is apparently pulling in lots of revenue from ads from people who are going to, see the up to 80 reasons now, I think. So sacrilege break. The delicious sacrilege thing, I don't know what got into my head when I wrote that, but I wanted to see if there was some other meme sort of on the net, and there are some really weird people that use the words delicious sacrilege. So mangoat.net is, I didn't go to see any of the rest of that, I just took it from the Google snippet, and if you want to go there, go there. Guild of Navigators or whatever. So what's CouchDB? It's a RESTful database, a RESTful document database. Aaron Schwartz's talk, when I thanked Aaron at the start, Aaron was originally supposed to present in this time slot. He had to go home, so we got to switch, which meant that I got to be a little bit nervous for a little bit longer. He talked about ThingDB, and ThingDB actually has incredible parallels with what CouchDB is. Document database, key value pairs, RESTful interface, talks JSON. It also does the versioning that ThingDB does. Replication is something that Aaron didn't talk about, and I think that's a really critical piece, a really interesting piece for our needs as a community of libraries with a whole lot of data that we want to share around. So ThingDB or Amazon S3 are kind of similar ideas out there in the world today. So if CouchDB isn't right for you, but you like the idea, then there are some other ones to think about. And it's an Erlang, so thanks to Devin for giving us a little snippet of code. The good thing is that you don't actually have to look at any Erlang to get this compiled and running. Ross mentioned on the IRC channel on Tuesday that I was downloading and installing CouchDB for the first time. It's actually the second time I've installed it. Thanks a lot, Ross. But it is incredibly smooth. So I don't know if this is actually going to work. My real URL is 192.168.4.32. So if you want to try and hit that, if you're on the 4 subnet, I don't know whether there's firewalls that are blocking you from getting to it, but if you want to play with this, go ahead and play with it. So that's 4.32 at the end. I'm sure someone will have that in the IRC channel already. So go ahead and play with it, create databases. If you want to delete the databases that are there, I can probably recreate most of it fairly quick, but bear in mind I'm going to have to look over my shoulder to do it. So yeah, good old get, put, post, delete. Hidden options don't really get used, so it's not a complete REST interface. And there are some variations for the REST purists out there that aren't quite pure REST, but who cares? So quick rundown of the API. To get a list of all the databases that are running at a given CouchDB server, just _all_DBS. DBS, it's a good thing. To create a database, you just put the new database at that URI. It creates a new database for you. Easy. Delete it, same thing. And to get a little bit of metadata, so in a relational database, you'd have to do like select count star. In Unicorn, you'd have to do basically a table scan of all of the items that you have in your in your biblios before you can actually count them by passing it out to. Sorry, I won't talk about the secret API. Here you just get the count of items right away. And that was one thing from Notes that was really cool, is that you could see the number of changed or updated documents sort of at any time. This is kind of the RESTful way of doing it. So what is a document? It can be almost anything, as long as it's got an ID. The special underscore prefix is reserved for CouchDB. So an underscore ID and an underscore rev, and IDs can be almost anything. They'll also auto-generate them with sort of hashes if you don't supply one, so it's really easy to populate. And then you can have as many key value pairs as you want. Keys are just going to be simple text strings in JSON, and then the values can be any JSON. So it can be JSON objects, nested arrays, as complex as you want. Another sacrilege break. I think the most interesting thing about this, other than they've created a dish with no ingredients that actually match what the real ingredients are supposed to be, is sugaredharpy.com. I mean, mangoat.net and sugaredharpy.com are the two spots that I've seen for delicious sacrilege so far on the net. That has no relevance to this other than, creating documents is just another simple put. So there's the header junk stuff that you need to put in there. If you have in any language that you're using, if you've got a JSON library and something that knows HTTP, you can talk to and build a CouchDB application. It's incredibly simple. So you don't have to care about the header junk. Those libraries will take care of it for you. But you can use curl if you're hardcore. Same sort of thing if you want to generate an ID. You can just post and not even pass in the ID, and it'll get created for you. And you can do bulk, which is how I took the 2008 conference session proposals and bulk loaded those up. My idea was to create a database and maybe put a thin layer over top of it so that people could actually provide feedback on the sessions that we had presented here, so that people could get sort of anonymous comments on how their session went and how things could be improved. I didn't actually get to that part of the application, but there's some reasons why. Retrieving is just a simple get. So you can pass in a revision attribute if you want to get a specific revision of a given document. If you want to see all of the revisions that are available for a given document in the database, just pass revs equals true for that ID, and it'll include within the latest version of the document a revs field that includes all of the revisions that are in it. So by default, you'll get the latest. So documents can have attachments, of course. So that's when you're collaborating and you're creating notes databases, people would most often create a new entry and then immediately attach a Word document into it or something like that, which completely blew away the ability to do any searching, but that's how Notes was used. You can do the same sort of thing here, but you can do more interesting things with the attachments. However, the Attachments API is currently broken because they're changing it as they're coming towards the 1.0 release. They're currently at 0.7 release of CouchDB. There's a lot going on with CouchDB right now. Damien Katz, who is the lead developer for this, was hired by IBM, ironically enough, to continue working on CouchDB and to bring it to the Apache Software Foundation as an Apache project. So it's going to have a really solid base of developers behind it. Sam Ruby is another one of the contributors to it. Christopher Lenz, Jan Lennart from the kind of PHP world is also working with it. So it's moving places, but API is changing. Things are breaking right now. I was running trunk. I'm kind of stupid. So you can actually create the attachments, but right now there doesn't seem to be a way, at least that I found, to retrieve it, and I wasn't willing to really go into the Erlang to figure out what they've done at this point. You can update and delete the documents. Obviously, it's just another put, or you can also post. And the deletion is you are required to specify the revision. Deletes seem to be a permanent thing. There's no way of getting back a delete once you've deleted that. So what you might want to do, is just a tip from the SQL world, is just add a deleted attribute and then create a view on top of it. If deleted is true, just ignore it. So this is the final sacrilege break. Listening to Jenny Lewis on Rabbit Fur Coat. It's not really all that sacrilegious. I'm kind of disappointed with that. But so there are some sort of sane people out there that use that as well. So it does have views, and the views are pretty cool in that they're implemented simply in JavaScript. You can filter on attributes. You can use an arbitrary amount of JavaScript to create new sort of information on the fly. So this is a pretty simple kind of view where I just wanted to filter because Ross gave me the raw set of proposals. I added in an accepted attribute so I could create a view of the documents that people would be able to comment on that were accepted, because we didn't want to, revisit history, I guess. And then all is just basically a pass-through function where the view all gives you all the documents in the database. Right about now, you're thinking, okay, this is all really, really abstract, blah, blah, blah. I come from a relational database background. I spent 8 years working with IBM on DB2 in various roles. And I wrote or co-wrote a book called Apache Derby Off to the Races, which is about the Apache Derby relational database. So I'm interested in some of these kind of database-ish characteristics. So ACID is the atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. And they claim this is actually ACID or complies with ACID properties. So the writes are non-destructive. Any writes that get interrupted halfway through simply get thrown away. There's no recovery when you restart the database if you crash. Someone pulls the plug right in the middle of a write. Everything is always consistent because it's writing to the side, and then later on they pull things back into the fold once things are clean. The only consistency, well, there's not consistency checks, but there are some repairs to the headers that might have to occur at start time, but it's very quick. So replication, this is one killer feature, I think, that it would be nice to see ThingDB offer, or it'd be nice to piggyback on top of CouchDB. The ability to do these multi-directional replication with the built-in replication conflicts. So if you and I both change the document, there's some intelligence in CouchDB that figures out for you which one's going to be the best one to use, but it'll also notify you in some way that there has been a conflict, and so you can go back and repair that. Since there's a revision history for everything, it's easy to go back to an old version of the document, put it up again, and get back to the version that you think is the right one. So you can do partial replication. So if you've got a massive database that's filled with 1 gigabyte attachments, and you're at the airport and you just really want to see what are the latest 5 things that somebody's added to our document talking to the DLF API, and we're putting together little descriptions of methods, you can do that, and then you could actually go and get the full thing back. Right, and then design documents, that's another term for views within CouchDB at this point. The documentation says that there is this authentication model. Right now, actually, that's completely a lie. There is no authentication at all. It's wide open, which is why I invited you to try it out. I guess we'll find out if anybody did manage to connect to my laptop later on. You have full read-write access to it. So it's kind of like Solar in that sense. Firewall it off, put it behind an HTTP auth kind of proxy or something, and that way you can control it if you still want to use this. And there is a roadmap, and I assume that IBM would be really, really excited to have LDAP as an authentication approach for things. Their design is pretty simple in that they want to include author fields within documents and the ability to extend those fields to have more authors who are allowed to write to it. Otherwise, by default, you would have read-only access. So is it ready for prime time? I wouldn't suggest putting this in production today. I think it's really cool to play around with it, spend some time with it, learn document databases. A lot of the concepts are going to be transferable to S3 or to ThingDB, but the APIs are still changing. So if you build something big at your library, it's not going to necessarily keep on working, or you won't be able to take advantage of the latest versions without some rewrites. Search isn't there. There's a plugin to do some Lucene searching. But it's not really integrated in the install, so you've got to go off and build it, and the install instructions actually say good luck. So it's coming. They recognize that, but for now, you could just suck it all into Solar like we already know how to do and kind of use that approach. And yeah, I kind of think since CouchDBwiki.com, which is the official documentation site, is actually running on Wikipedia, Once they are self-hosted and running on CouchDB, then I think that might be a good sign or a good time to start thinking about moving towards something like CouchDB as a potential piece of your infrastructure. So yeah, don't get too excited, especially since I'm going to be looking over my shoulder and navigating ahead of myself. Cool. I think somebody managed to get in here. Either that or I'm screwed. Oh, yeah, thank you. Let's see. Oh. So we're not running. So let's see. Match you. Sorry. KDE died on me between the time that I walked from my seat up to here and refused to launch any new applications, so I had to switch to XFCC and destroy that. Time to relax. We'll just go and redo that. Okay. Now, there we go. So I apologize for any of you who were trying to run against CouchDB. Go ahead and go wild now if you want. 4.32, if you can get at it. So you can see I created Bonehead. You know, that's me, and Proposals 2008. This is the built-in CouchDB administration interface, so I can't take any credit for this at all. Sorry. All right. And what's an interesting one? There we go. So as you can see, it's just a couple of key value pairs, and I haven't really done anything really interesting with the structure for these even, so it's really just straightforward strings at this point. I have a view defined called evil, which has the accepted proposals as a filter. So only the accepted proposals for 2008 are actually showing up here at this point. And it was nice of Firefox to take away my URLs history as I restarted as well. That was good. There we go. So you can get the JSON back immediately, obviously. It's not very pretty at all, but that's what you're kind of looking at, that you can easily pull into your programs and then manipulate however you need to. I've got 1 minute and 25 seconds and counting for questions if we want. I do have, actually, one thing that I want to talk about is I think it would be really cool for those people who are heading down to San Francisco. It'd be really nice if Open Library had this replication option for us, bidirectional, if we could push our holdings, have the lots of copies, keep things safe, maybe reviews, images, table of contents, user comments and tags up to Open Library and back. We could build something like other people are already doing, but have it with open data. So, 33 seconds.
Have you done any load testing or scaling?
No, I've not. I was hoping actually that we'd be able to do it during the session, but unfortunately.
I mean, in terms of size of documents?
Yeah. No, I've done very, very little. As far as I know, the documents are kept separate from the database itself, and the database is a simple B tree implementation in Erlang. So shouldn't be too bad, but it'll be dependent on your disk. 8 seconds.
Is there any character set awareness in this? If you have people submitting documents from different platforms and whatever, as far as keeping it consistent within the database itself?
Yeah, so it's JSON, so it follows the JSON spec for encoding, which is, I think, UTF-8 encoding inline. If I recall, I'm happy for anyone to correct me on that, but
Buzz.
thank you.